Today I have the honour of showing you some of the brand new spells in Total War Warhammer 2. Magic is one of the key elements of every Warhammer fantasy battle. Spells range from minor buffs that strengthen your men in combat to devastating vortexes that are able to turn entire battles in your favour. Be wary though, as the winds of magic are also very unpredictable and spells can easily backfire. In Total War Warhammer 2 you'll get access to more than 10 unique laws of magic, so there are plenty of spells to choose from. In this video we'll only be focusing on some of the new ones. The Law of Dark Magic, used by the Dark Elves, is one of the most corrupt and devastating forms of magic in the Warhammer universe. Blade Wind, for example, is a very powerful vortex spell that unleashes a deadly tornado of giant swords upon the battlefield. The spell only lasts a couple of seconds, but is able to deal massive damage to large groups of enemies. Be careful though, as the vortex might turn towards your own battle lines as well. Another spell from the Law of Dark Magic is Power of Darkness. The spellcaster is able to draw power from the Realm of Chaos, which increases the magic reserve and the magic recharge rate for 30 seconds. This allows your spellcaster to obtain more magic to use on other spells. The target does take damage while casting this though, and it can only be used 3 times in a battle. The final spell that I would like to showcase from this lore is Soul Stealer, an expensive direct damage spell. Not only does this damage enemy units, it also absorbs their life force. It's very powerful against large groups of enemies, and it can be used to heal your spellcaster if you need to. As I said, the spell is expensive though, so you will only be able to cast this a few times in a battle. The Law of High Magic is available to the High Elves and the Slann of the Lizard Men. The lore is very balanced with a nice variety of spells. One of these spells is Hand of Glory. This is a very cheap augment that increases a unit's melee attack and reload skill. It can be very useful for turning an engagement into your favour without having to spend a lot of your magic pool. By overcasting this spell, you are also able to grant the target a nice speed bonus, but there is always a possibility that a miscast may occur, damaging the spell caster. Another interesting spell is Tempest, a vortex that you are only able to cast on a flying unit. The storm will slow down the target while dealing damage for the duration of the spell. This can be very useful if you're chasing a flying unit or if you just want to take something down as fast as possible. The final and most impressive spell of this lore is Fiery Convocation. It's very expensive, but if you're able to position it correctly, this spell might turn the entire battle into your favour. A giant phoenix will fly through the enemy lines, dealing a massive amount of damage to anything caught in its path. You're also able to adjust the direction of the spell in order to deal as much damage as possible. The Skaven spells of Plague are all about disease and death. Priests of the Skaven can use this lore to spawn more Ratmen in the heat of battle, and it also contains some very powerful damage spells. One of these is Pestilent Breath, which unleashes a foul cloud upon enemy lines, dealing magical damage and disrupting the enemy formation. The effect triggers almost immediately, so it's pretty much impossible for the enemy to get away. One of the core spells of this lore is Vermintide. This spell allows your Plague Priest to summon an entire unit of clan rats. This is a very powerful spell that allows you to spawn more Ratmen behind the enemy lines. It's also very handy if you're chasing an enemy unit. Just summon another unit of clan rats and they won't be able to get away. Now, clan rats are not very powerful, but you're able to use this spell 6 times in a battle, and it's also very cheap, which makes it very strong. The final spell from this lore that I would like to showcase is Pestilent Birth, basically an upgraded version of Vermintide. This spell allows your caster to summon a unit of Plague Monks on the battlefield. This is a much stronger unit that's able to deal a good amount of damage to enemy infantry. The spell is more expensive however, and can only be used 2 times in a battle. Contrary to the spells of Plague are the Skaven spells of Ruin. This lore is used by the Warlock Engineers and contains a unique variety of spells. One of these unique spells is Skitterly. This is a hiding spell that can only target a unit in your army. The unit will gain increased speed, it will gain stalk, and it will only be spotted at very close range. As you can see, the enemy was only able to spot this Rat Ogre unit once it charged into the enemy lines. This is a great spell to surprise your enemies, especially when flanking. The duration of this spell is also very long. When overcasted, the effect will last for almost 2 minutes. Another powerful spell from this lore is Death Frenzy. This is an augment spell that affects a single unit in your army. The unit will gain massive increases to charge bonus, melee attack and weapon damage, and will also be immune to enemy scare tactics for the duration of the spell. This is a massive buff that is best used when you're charging into melee. The final spell that I would like to showcase in this video is Warp Lightning. The bread and butter spell of this lore. Do not be deceived by the low cost, as this bombardment is very deadly against groups of infantry. Green lightning will strike from the sky and anything in its radius is going to have a bad day. A cool looking and very effective spell. That's all for this Magic Spotlight, but remember, there's a lot more to explore. Total War Warhammer 2 is filled with new abilities, spells and skills to turn the battle in your favour. Be sure to follow the official social media channels for the latest updates and subscribe on YouTube for more Total War videos.